of this. Each of these 6 projects, for some people, can actually be completed in 1 month.
Hello, sir.
Yes, David.
Sorry to cut you short. I just got in and I heard later tomorrow. It will be heard later tomorrow.
No. I'm talking about the CV review I did. I'll drop my comments in the group.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. So, first comment I made in this particular session regarding this FM project is that you could actually achieve everything in 1 month if you really put your mind to it, because it's all about the availability of data. So if you're lucky to already exist or work in an environment where there is substantial information and data that you can collate and organize and write your reports, and you put your mind to it, it can be done in 1 month, right? But if you don't do it in 1 month, you can do it in 2 months. If you don't do it in 2 months, you can do it in 3 months. If all fails, 4 months. If after 5 months you have not completed it, 6 months. After 6 months, you pay a readmission fee of 25K to be able to submit your project, because that's the extent that it will take. So it will mean that you have ended your program and that you want to be readmitted to continue your program so you can submit your project. It's very important that we take this seriously. My experience with the first 2 years of this program is that because we told them it takes 6 months, and then we did not end people's projects after the 6 months. We said, oh, well, we didn't end people's programs after the 6 months. We allowed an additional 6 months to end your program after the first 6 months, so it now became a 3 months class, 6 months project, and then almost like an unwritten moratorium of 6 months, which turned the program into a 13 months, a 15 months program, right? Now, but most people that did not finish their project within the first 6 months still didn't finish it after the next 6 months. Okay, so that's why we had to improve our policies to include strike when it is hot, right? When all the knowledge is fresh, when the opportunity and the excitement is there. Once you start getting into the daily hustle and bustle and you forget this for 1 month, you may as well forget it for 1 year, no matter how hard the admin in office try to prompt you to get onto it. So that's why I'm putting it up front now, so everybody knows that the program can be done in 1 month, can be done in 2, 3, 4, 5, but a maximum of 6 months. And it will probably take you up to that 3, 4, 5, 6 months if you have to now start counting and measuring your spaces to get your as-built drawings, for example, and counting your asset register and creating it from scratch. If you already had some data like your AC assets, your furniture assets, your what else do you have? Your vehicle assets and your different asset registers in the organization. Then to be easy for you to sit down one day, start collating and organizing your asset register. Okay, so that's the way I would like to start this presentation. We all need to know that it has to be time bound. It has to be time bound, and it's actually for your own good. Somebody called me just this last week. You won't believe he finished his program in 2018. He didn't submit, I think he submitted just 1 or 2 projects. And then he went off, got 1 job, did very well there. After a year or 2, he got another one. And then he has flown all the way from his 85K per month. Now he was at 350, 400K. In fact, why he called was that he had just interviewed for a general manager's position, which is going to earn him some 600,000 to 700,000 naira, and they're asking him for his FM Mastercraft diploma. I said, okay, so you just remembered after 3 years that you were supposed to have earned this diploma, and then we started having the back and forth. But eventually he had to settle for the certificate, not the diploma, because, and I think I want to make this, kind of rehearse this for everybody. Each one of us in this class are free to just pass the exam and earn your FM Mastercraft certificate. That certificate is a certificate of comprehensive training. If you pass the exam and you get that certificate, you are home and dry. But it is not the FM Mastercraft, it's not the FM diploma that we issue. The diploma can only be earned after we finish these 6 projects. So not everybody needs the diploma. Some people can make do with, I've gained the knowledge and I have a certificate from Max-Migold that shows that, yes, I have learned all that they have taught because I passed the exam and I'm good to go. Yes, I have so many CEOs, MDs of companies, it's very senior experienced people who are not really looking for work and they don't care about earning the diploma, right? So they can just do the exam and pass it and get their certificate of training. You know, that's straightforward. Now, on the flip side, the advantage of actually doing this project is that whether you are very experienced or you are still trying to advance yourself on jobs, these are 6 things that are primary prerequisites for you to say, I'm a professional facility manager and I'm managing this site well. If any of these documents or records are missing in the site you are managing, you are not managing professionally. So that's why it's important that you do it. Whether you need it for a job or you don't, doesn't matter. You just need to have the experience of actually putting pen to paper to create some of this documentation, okay? At some point in your career, you'll have other people do it, but then you'll be able to now guide them because you have done it at some point. So that's why this is very important for everybody to take into consideration. Okay. All right, so I'm going to allow some questions or clarifications if you seek any about that first aspect, what I've just explained. Yes, David, go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so just to quickly ask, that means for the project, are we going to get 2 certificates, number 1?
No, either A or B. If you stop now, you get A. If you continued and did the projects, you get B. In fact, we've had situations where some people have taken A, strolled off, you know, sojourned very well, and later came back and said, you know, we want B. All they just need to do is pay their readmission fee of 25K, return the certificate, and earn the diploma. We allow that, yes, but it's always going to be open. It's always going to be open. So even if it's in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, you decide to come back and earn your diploma, all you need to do is return the certificate, pay your readmission fee, and then finish your project. But then the project will have to be as it is at the time when you come back. So for example, it is possible that the project will not be in the same format or level of efforts. It's possible that by that time, we have moved to projects that are being done purely using a software that you have to learn and deploy, right? So when that time comes, you have to live with that project if you really want to get back in. And I don't also know whether the readmission fee of 25K will remain forever, right? So just to put that into context.
Okay, so, but finally, let me confirm, now that there is slight variation in how long individuals can take to complete the project, is it when any individual finishes the project that he gets awarded the diploma, or there is a date for
when you finish your project,
or something?
Your project is scored. When your project is scored, your diploma results is completed. You pass the exam, you've done all your assessments and it's been scored, your project is scored, your program is complete, right? Once your program is complete, if you want your diploma issued to you, just write and it will be issued to you. But we will do, and that will be a soft copy of it. We have a formal graduation ceremony every December. So everybody that are graduating and finishing their projects this year are going to come to that convocation event in December to receive their physical certificates.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Onyekachi, go ahead, please.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, class.
Good evening. Welcome.
So when is this project going to be carried out? Because is it going to be grouped or I don't know.
Come again.
The project you're talking about.
Yes.
Okay. Is it going to be grouped or individually?
Okay, that's a good question. The project is individually, right? It's individually. But what we have done as an improvement or as a response to feedback, starting with the last class, I think it's just this last class I experienced this privilege, is that if we have someone who has a facility where he or she is working and needs a partner to work on the project, you apply to the institution, and then we will put that out. Or even if you know a classmate that you would like to work with, who doesn't have a facility to do his project, we can allow up to 3 people to work together using one facility and producing one result and getting the same score for everybody in that group. So yes, we've done that improvements in the program so that we can reduce the instances of, oh, well, I didn't get a facility to do my project, that's why I'm still owing it. So we've allowed that. So yes, Enitachi, the answer is yes.
Okay. Mr. Paul, please, I need a facility because right now, you know my position in my call. I'm not a facility manager and I don't have where I can do that. So I need to.
Your facility is actually perfect to do this project. So you should do it.
We're on lockdown.
That's even when you need to. When you are on lockdown, I don't know when nobody.
No, my
is
office,
there.
you can't enter my building now. Nobody's allowed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I'm sure you guys are opening up soon now. You're opening up soon, but it's okay. That's a good note.
I don't know when.
Yes,
for now.
I understand. I was with your boss yesterday, so I get a sense of how all these big organizations, you guys are just flexing this pandemic.
So that's my own predicament about the whole project, and I don't know how I'm going to go about it.
If you need to work with others, the only thing is that when you are going to work with others, you have to be physically available in those facilities. I have a group working in a massive transport terminal, and they have to go there and work full day 3 times a week. So it's not a matter of just doing remote work or working from home. It's physical. You have to be there.
No, I will go there. I will go there physical, please.
Okay.
I will.
No wahala. Yeah, covered.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Answer. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Paul.
Good evening.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. All this is mentioned, they are the heart of facility management.
Yes.
And the last speaker spoke and said, for me, I'm looking at, can you actually do in different organizations to get a feel of, what it takes to do asset, probably you're doing asset management in one organization, you're doing facility condition audit in another organization, you're doing management plan and business continuity in another organization.
It is possible. Answer is possible, but the facilities that you are doing each of them for, the only condition we have is that the facility has to be a real facility. It cannot be a case study facility that you designed up in your head and gave it an address and created all those data for. No, it has to be a real verifiable facility. So if you did your first project in one facility and you try to do the next project in another facility, we don't have a problem with that because we have not restricted anybody on the facilities where they do each of the project, but each project has to be based on a real facility that is verifiable, that we can say, this is the building that has this budget. This is the building that has this health and safety audit done on it, right? So that's basically what we're talking about, yeah? So that's fine if you want to.
Yeah, the last time you just spoke about merging 3 people together for one facility.
Yes.
The last time you spoke about the 6 people can mesh together to work on one yeah, that's what reminder.
I will need to see the kind of facility we're going to use more than 3 for. For example, if it's not an international airport, if it's not a federal secretariat or something so massive, I won't recommend more than 3. it will not give you the kind of, it will not be enough rigor to show for what you are trying to get in the diploma. Yep. So that's why we will try and keep it to 3. I know. If you are familiar with the Oshodi Transport Terminal in Lagos, there are 3 massive terminals. Each of them like an airport terminal, and all interlinked that central location. And we have about 1, 2, 3 graduates from the program there, and we have 3 graduates that work there, and then 3 that joined them. So that makes 6. So yes, it's possible to have 6, but that project has to be really big. Okay. Tracy, go ahead, please.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just have a quick question. For example, under the facility condition assessment,
yep.
You talk about, taking a picture of the building, and it seems like it's more related to the building. But us that we're managing estates, are we doing the project based on the whole estate? Because, there's some specific lines that items are more about like a building. But, like I said, we're managing a whole estate.
It depends on what you are managing in the estates, right? So if you're managing common areas, right?
Yeah.
Managing common areas, then a picture of the gates that shows the name of the estate, for example, is an approach for that estate.
Okay.
That picture of the estate.
Okay.
And then you have utilities, you have piping that runs, you have generator, you have water system. So your asset register is common area assets.
Okay.
Okay. So you could have a listing, you can have a listing of buildings, but you are not doing asset register for each of those buildings because you are not really doing any. You're not managing.
We're not managing those estates.
Exactly. Yeah. So common areas you're managing. Yeah.
We're not managing the individual buildings. We're managing the whole. Yeah.
Yeah. So you ignore the building.
Okay. Then I have a 2-part question. Then another thing is that I'm sure obviously this. A lot of my colleagues were in the program together, and we manage different estates. So like I manage an estate with 2 different people, and so on. So that means we can work together to submit this project because it's going to be the same thing pretty much.
Yeah, that's true. You can work together. 3 of you can work together
for each particular site.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless I think a site as big as, which site is really big? Maybe city.
City.
Maybe
city.
Yes. City, I can say yes. More than 3 can work on city.
No, city, they have 3 people working there or 4.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. We can do that then.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Where do you want to take me now?
Aja.
How am I going to do this assignment?
You will work with whoever is in Bristol Hamas Estates. That's the head office. How many FMs do you have there?
In Life Camp, are you talking about Life Camp? We have 2 with John, making 3. John, isn't that what you're going to do? Why are you opening your mouth?
So that's the team you join, Adja.
Okay, I'll join.
I was actually talking to Samuel, Omar. It's not you.
Okay. All right, Fatima.
Where do you want to
take city?
Okay, Paul.
How? She's going to be assigned to our sites.
All right, good to go.
Yes, Fatima, go ahead, please. We are waiting for you to speak.
You're talking about international. Is it good for me to go with Standard Chartered Bank in Sierra Leone?
Yes, you can.
Pick
one building. Just pick one building.
Okay.
All the buildings you're managing and do it based on it.
Okay. Okay then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Ibuku, your question.
All right, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yes, I just want to ask about the grading.
Yes.
is it? I'm trying to how to frame my question now. What's the guideline like? Are we just good to go if you can just follow the template and submit it, or
if you follow
there's other things that you are looking into?
Follow the templates, and
yes,
your data is properly organized, right? You probably already have, so it's a template and the data you have and the organization and presentation of that data. Because I've seen some people that have very good data, but it's not readable. It's not readable. So a little bit of that experience I had, when I was in my master's degree in the UK, and I did a project management work breakdown structure for a project that I should have gotten 98%. We're 6 on that project, 98%, for relocating a factory from Denmark down to the UK, and it was perfectly done. But our WBS stretched over several pages, and the lecturer took out 30 marks for not being able to order that WBS into a readable, when you are reading a WBS, work breakdown structure, you have to like look at the next page and then look how the lines, link up and link up. It's making it unreadable, so some of those things are going to be factor, but it's not very significant. So if you get your data right and you do your analysis and your reports correctly, that's already 70–80%. But if you're organizing it in such a way that it is fine, it's readable, something that you can give to management to say, this is final output, and this is something the company should use going forward as a working document, then of course you get 100%.
Okay, so but for more clarification, do people usually fail this project?
Nobody fails projects.
Okay, it's usually
fails project, but there are some projects that are so bad that they will be asked to go and do it again. I've had a few instances where the facilitator that scores the various projects will say, you did not do anything on this project. I'm not seeing a report, for example, and your spreadsheet is so scanty. You've not put any thoughts into this. Instead of scoring 0, I'll tell you to go and do it. So it will just as if we rejected it. It's not submitted. That's the worst case. We're not scoring something that is not a pass. We just turn it back to you to go and redo. Because the whole idea of the project is not a pass or fail. Unlike exam where you say, oh, I didn't pass, I have to do the exam again, right? I failed. But in the case of a project, we don't tell you you failed. We just tell you, look, you can do better. Go and put in more effort and get it done and bring back, yeah?
Okay. Also, in the course of carrying on with the project, are there people, like facilitator or assigned persons, just for more clarifications, if there's any, and all of that? Do you attach anybody to the students? Or
Interestingly, it's me, just me, Paul Eruba, that you have as your project guide. It's just me. So chat me up on WhatsApp, set up an appointment to have a one-on-one call with me, invite me to inspect your facility, and so on and so forth. Let's just let's do all that.
I'm sure, sir, you'll be able to do that.
Can you cope?
Do you know that on the average week, I do a site tour? Yesterday I was at Sujimoto facility. Where is Temitope? If he's here, he will attest to it. I was with them, doing a tour of 2 or 3 of the facilities yesterday. So, but it took him almost like 2 or 3 weeks to chase me down to have that appointment, right? So it's not something that once you blow your whistle, I'm out for you. But if you keep reminding me, even yesterday he reminded me like 3 times in the morning, right? And I said, yes, I'll be in a meeting. I will still be there. And at some point I said, I'm on my way now, right? So that confirmed that I'm heading your way. And then he was happy. So, but that's how it works. I like being.
Thank you for talking
about. Thank you.
Mr. Paul, I'm still reminding you, sir. I'm still reminding you.
Who is this?
We have unfinished business, a lot of unfinished business.
Don't worry. You are not reminding me, not in this class.
He wants us to be witnesses.
So that's how it is. It's me. This is my part of the program, you understand, where I personally lead the show. But when it comes to scoring, I may not do the paperwork scoring. I may have Rosalind Onuche, who is one of our facilitator and very experienced in each of these projects, part of developing the project content in the first place to do the scoring, okay?
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Adebowale, go ahead, please.
Hey, Mr. Paul, you caught me there. I just dropped my hand.
Okay, don't worry. If you are dropped it, it's fine.
Okay, just the same thing that the last person just asked. Probably, I've seen many people saying, "Oh, I have a partner. This, I have a partner." Me, I'm a lone ranger, even though I want to pass the project. So I was like, "Okay, fine. Can you give me a facilitator to help?" I've seen people who say we are already 3, we are already 4.
What will happen since you are in Abuja, right?
Yeah.
If I see any of the other people in Abuja trying to cluster too many into a project, because I need to approve on a case-by-case basis, I might yank somebody up, for example, if, like I was talking to Tracy now, probably Tracy's site is just 50 or 60 units of apartments, for example, and there are 3 trying to do the project from there. I'll yank somebody up from there and send to you to work with you. It's all about, you know, accommodating each other as a team to get a better result at the end of the day. Yeah.
Is it still Abuja?
Yes.
So now
Yeah.
I'm talking about transport
Abuja.
and accommodation.
Okay, no problem. I'll come and join you, Joy.
Don't worry. You guys will discuss that when we approve your collaboration. Thank you very much. Lucy.
No problem. Thank you.
Okay, I'm in a bit of a dilemma right now. For me personally, I'm doing the management. I do not have a
it's yeah, Lucy. Put off your video and let's see whether the audio can improve. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so can you hear me now?
Yes, it's better.
Okay, I said I'm in a bit of a dilemma. For me personally, I am very new to this facility management program, and this project I really want to pass. So I don't know how to go about it. Who do you pair me with? I don't know.
Don't be in a dilemma. Every student at some point, you have been a student now, every student at some point will have that, what do we call it? Exam fever, Abby. When there is exam coming and you have a project to write, it looks as if it's an uphill task. I can assure you, all of you on this call, if you can commit 3 to 4 hours every day between now and the exam, don't commit less than 3 to 4 hours to studying for this exam. You will score 70 to 80%. You know your pass mark is supposed to be 75%. So 80% effort is what, like, minimum I would expect if you actually put in the effort. Everybody that come out of the exam with 50 or 60%, I think we hardly get 40%, hardly. Most people get, if they are not above 70 something, they will stay between 50 and 60. Those are the ones that you now say, okay, let's have a second run at the exam. But everybody that puts in time, I'm just talking of putting in time. Don't do this as if it's part-time. So I've told the people that have called me with this kind of concern, take next week off work. I'm not kidding. When I did my FMP, when I did my facility management professional those days, I took 2 weeks leave. I shot off from the East. I came to Lagos. I lodged and I studied and I wrote it. When I did my CFM, I did the same thing. Everything that is worth doing is worth doing well, especially when it has a significant milestone attached to it, right? So don't see it as something you just, I have 30 minutes, let me just browse through and then hope to get 100 over 100 on that day. The last class had 2 ladies, I don't know if they're in this room now, who, when they took the exam, one of them called me in the evening of the exam and said, Paul, what you have just done to me is really bad. I said, what have I done to you? He said, That is the worst thing I've ever done in my life. I put in 3 hours, 20 minutes, and I scored, I think she scored about 50 or so percent, and she was really sad. I said, no, don't be sad. Don't be sad. She said, no, you did not tell us how much effort we should put into it. You just made it look as if we can just, breeze into it. And I said, okay, fine. I accept that as my mistake. That's why I'm correcting myself in this class. Put time into this. I beg you. Okay.
Sorry, sir, you still haven't answered my question. I'm talking about the facility.
Okay, for your project.
Project, yes.
Project. Okay, where you currently work, is there a building?
Yes, there is.
Connect with the appropriate department in that building and tell them that you are coming to provide for them free consultancy for facility management. Show them your project docket and say, at the end of this social number of weeks or months I'll be working in this building, these are the outputs I'm going to give to you for free. You are not paying a dime.
Okay.
That's the way to go about it. Because you are in Ibadan. I think you are a lone ranger. Is there anyone else in Ibadan in this class? I doubt.
I don't think so.
Yes, I doubt. So you're
I'm in Ibadan.
Yes. I'm in Ibadan too.
Who is in Ibadan?
Wait.
Adeta is in Ibadan. I'm inside bush in Ibadan.
Oh, Adeta, you're in Ibadan, right?
Yes, but it's the bush.
That's why I
I'm in Ibadan
can't
too.
you as Ibadan. I thought you were in some kind of Ogun State corner like that.
It's in between Ibadan and Ogun State, eh? Just very close. Ibadan, Ijebu, that route.
I can imagine. So I didn't think you identify as Ibadan, but it's okay. So
somebody else is saying from Ibadan there.
Who else is there from Ibadan again?
Hello.
Hello.
I'm in Ibadan too.
And you are, let me see, who am I speaking with now? Ramoni, you're in Ibadan.
Yes, I'm in Ibadan.
But Ramoni, you didn't start in Ibadan. You moved to Ibadan recently.
No, I started in Ibadan.
Are you serious? Wow. I joined
the class. I just moved to Ibadan. It was after about 2 or 3 modules that I joined the class.
Okay. And then Adedayo is also in Ibadan, right?
Yes, I just moved to Ibadan.
Aha, okay, you are the one I think I know that just moved to Ibadan. All right, so there's a small committee already. Lucy, you can coordinate. You have Ramoni, you have Adedayo, and you have Adetayo. So that's 4 people.
Right.
You can pair off into 2 facilities and get your project done, yeah?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Victor, let's hear from you.
Okay, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Like Lucy, sir, I don't have a facility, so I don't know how to do my project.
Based where?
In between Lagos and Ogun State.
Where you currently work, there's a building, isn't it?
No. I basically freelance for now. So,
okay,
though I talked to Mr. Olayemi for some time, then he said he's still looking at something. So I don't know.
No wahala. The class is for networking. If Mr. Olayemi can give you an opportunity, take it, right? You can approach any other student in the class and talk to me again. We must work out something for everybody, okay? The primary thing is don't undermine where you are at the moment. Many people think, oh, where I am is just so and so type of building, not good enough for this kind of project. No, right? As provided that building is serving a commercial purpose or even residential purpose, right? There's always human beings to manage and assets to manage in it, so you can do it. All right.
Yeah, I'm making that decision now.
Okay.
All right.
So I think you can just let's get back. We can look at what we can do.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Olayemi. So
thank you, sir.
There you have it, right? Solutions are happening live. So well done. Thank you. Maritala, is it the same thing I've been saying or something else?
I don't have a facility.
Maritala, you can't tell me you don't have a facility. You're even managing a construction site. Do it there.
It's a construction site. It's
I
still
need the asset register of that
construction.
construction site. In fact, the safety audit of that site is I'm looking forward to seeing
it. Oh my God.
So, Mr. Okay, let me see.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, fella.
I want a facility, sir.
I've heard you, no problem. We'll network with the team, but I need you to use that site to develop some of the projects, even if not all of them, okay?
All right. I'll see what I can do.
Fantastic. Can you talk about, let's hear from you, please.
Okay, good afternoon, sir. Oh, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Me, I have those ones that say that they don't have facility they can use for projects. I have open facility, but because I'm also just doing facility.
Yes.
So I've spoken with Mr. Olaemi once. He was one of the people that gave me this SOP, like go there, nothing is happening. Now he has pushed me into it now, following all his advice. So yeah, now those of them that did not have facility, let us form group together and do a comprehensive for two organizations, maybe for banana and for another facility, like a construction site we have. We can do a comprehensive one for them. Provided Mr. Olaemi will agree to be our project captain.
Mind you,
project captain.
Mind you, I have seen your facilities. You cannot have more than 3 people in any of your facilities.
No, we can always distribute them to have where we can distribute them in each of the facilities.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. All right, very good, well done. All right, so guys, you have it. Temitope, it's another pillar you can lean on, and we can get all this done. I mean, I'm happy to have all of you close out all your projects in 2 months, right? And by the time we are approaching November, when we will start telling you that we have a big party coming, we can go and get ourselves ready for the party after party after party. Yeah. Exactly. All right, Victor, let's hear from you.
Please, the exam, is it like online?
Leave that question for Saturday. It's online. No, exam is online. Exam is open book. Exam is anywhere you are. Just make sure your internet does not fail you. That's all. But we'll discuss exam on Saturday.
Now open book now what? So
get ready for Saturday. Saturday we'll talk about the exam. Yeah, Victor.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, so now that we have said all of those general stuff, let's get into the project proper. Project number 1, asset register. Let's take a minute break. Let me just see who this is.
That's so good.
All right, we're back. That wasn't up to a minute. Okay, so let's look at the topics: asset register, facility condition assessments, health, safety, security, and environment audit, emergency preparedness and business continuity, a maintenance plan, and budgeting. Yeah, these are the 6 projects. Now, we say that we recommend that you take them in the order they have been presented. The main reason for that is that the asset register is the base template. It's like your work breakdown structure in a project management setup, right? That most other things will be based on. That's why it has to happen first. And following the order sequence will be nice. But it is not compulsory. It is not compulsory. You could have an existing budget that you reviewed and it looks okay, it meets the requirements of this project, submit it. You could have a maintenance program already that is good enough that you have worked on. You think it will give you good scores on this program, submit it, right? So that's basically the thing. There's no losing of points for submitting project 5 or 6 or 3 before project 2 or 1 or and so on and so forth. You don't lose any points. And then number 2, do not wait until you have all of your projects before submitting. You can actually submit projects as soon as they are ready. Once you have read it, it looks nice, it's presentable, it's a working document, you can turn it in. Now, but there are sometimes you are working, doing all your projects in one facility, and there are certain changes you will make on one project that would affect the others. Because you want to be consistent throughout your project, you might want to hold on to your project, but the discretion is yours. So if you are working quickly and you are sure that within 2 months, for example, you can finish everything, and they may not be in a hurry to submit one after the other, so you can have some kind of consistency across your project if it's all for one site, okay? Project number 1, your asset register. The requirements are stated clearly. I'm not going to read them line by line. Talk about submission, the order of submission as well. Now, you will see on the asset register template that we have quite a number of things to report on. Let us be clear. Not every line item will have something to fill in for every of these columns.
Please come again, sir.
Not every line item will have something to fill in for every of these columns. For example, it's possible to have a line item that you don't necessarily have a serial number for. For example, if you are taking the tiling in a room, the tiling in that room will have quantity, but will not have a serial number, right? And if you look at this template, you probably won't find quantity. Yes, you won't find quantity. So you need to add a column for quantity so that you can capture the quantity. There are some conference rooms that have 50 chairs, 70 chairs, and you want to capture chairs, particular type of chairs, maybe roller armrest chairs, and there are 50 of them. They won't have serial numbers, but you have quantity. So you have to put another column. So first point, not all columns are compulsory for every asset line item. Second point, you can add columns, but you cannot remove columns from this asset register. You can add columns, but you cannot remove columns. Some organizations have asset IDs, for example. Some already have asset tags, for example. You add columns to capture existing IDs or tags that you have. Okay, so that's why we say this is minimum, you can add. And then if you have a particular asset category you are working on that does not have certain information, or those certain information are not necessary, leave those cells blank. Now, if your facility is a single building facility, then this column that has building name can be deleted and building name added to the top. Are we together? Where you have site name, you can now have building name. And in some cases, the site name is the same as the building name for a single building site. That just takes away the need or necessity. So people will go ahead and write, ABC house, ABC house, ABC house, and write it on every line. We don't want that to be happening. It just makes a mockery of the whole documentation process, right? So if ABC house is already at the top, and this whole sheet is about ABC house, there's no need to repeat ABC house, all along that column. Same thing applies to floor. So if I write a particular floor in one row, and then I have several spaces in that floor, I'll keep writing all the spaces until I've covered all of the spaces without repeating first floor on every line again. At least I now know that from line 1 to line 19, for example, all the spaces and rows there represent, first floor that I wrote at the floor top there. Now, by the time I start adding spaces, I'll have to be using more rows. So if you are not careful to start, maybe you want to just list out all your spaces, all your floors. You go and write line 1, floor this, line 2, floor that, line 3, floor that, right? No. When you write a particular floor, you need to add columns, use up as many columns as possible to take care of every space in that floor. And then when you're not adding assets into every space, now that you have used all the columns to list out the spaces, for example, you need to now start adding rows to add assets. So every line item is an asset line item. So if it's going to be like a cascading document. So I have floor. If I have multiple buildings, I have a building, I have a floor. Now, for some of us who are managing very large complexes like the terminal, for example, that I mentioned before, you will have to add zone, right? So if I have building name, I'll have to add zone as a column before I have floor. The reason is that if my building is already categorized into zones within the building, for example, you have in a certain terminal, you have a sky view wing in that terminal, right? And that sky view wing has multiple floors in it, and it's part of that building. So I might have to introduce zone as a column so that I put building, zone, and then floors within each zone, and then spaces within each floor. So my asset hierarchy, which we call the space hierarchy, will be cascading. But the line items that are going to run straight to the end are at the level of the asset itself. Now, you might have some assets that are compound assets or systems in themselves. Take, for example, you have a central air conditioning system. You cannot list a central air conditioning system as a single line item asset because there are chillers or outdoor units that have their own program separate from the air handling units, right? So you will now need to have the main assets and each of those major component assets standing on a line of themselves. I would like to entertain questions at this point. Yes, Daniel, go ahead. Daniel, your audio is not coming through. You're not muted, but your audio is not coming through. Is it my fault? Why am I not hearing Daniel? Is anyone else hearing Daniel?
No. We can't hear him either.
Aha.
No hearing.
Okay. So you might have to take off your headset.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it's better now. Yeah.
Okay. I think the other earpiece. Okay. Thank you for the explanation. I wanted to get something clear. For instance, in the case of asphalt, that is the internal road of an estate. You have, I saw where you say purchase date. I know there ought to have been the cost of the total cost of laying. Laying that the asphalt.
Yeah.
But the purchase date, install date, of course, I can get that when it was laid. And then just want to get clarification on this purchase date. So are you saying I should get the date the asphalt was purchased, the quantity was purchased from the plant?
No, that's an example of a cell that you leave blank.
Yes, okay.
Some cells can be left blank. When you have something that has been installed for you, that as soon as it was coming, when it was installed, right? It could be the same purchase date that is the install date, right? In some cases, it was installed date that you are familiar with and you don't know anything about the purchase date. Maybe it was purchased and stored for a while. For example, some of us have pressure pumps that are procured as backups or redundant supports kept in a store. When the main pumps array start having problems, we'll go and bring the one inside the store and come and install. Now, such assets need to have a purchase date as well as an install date, because sometimes you may have a difference in what happens between when they were bought and when they were installed. For example, inverter batteries, from the day they are made, they start running down 5 years. But sometimes they are bought, left in cartons in storage for 3-4 years, and you still install them and say it's 5 years useful life. No, that's one of the reasons why you have to have that information on your asset register. So if it's a relevant information, put it. If not, leave it blank. Yeah. Olayemi. Olayemi, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to ask about that for a facility like this. Is it all the assets that is there that needed to be registered, to be included in this for this project purpose, or we can just take samples?
No, everything. See, this work you are doing cannot be used for academic only, right? It's a live deliverable, so that if anybody is managing that facility into the nearest future, the records that we are producing have to be certifiable that they are the genuine correct record as at the time we did this project. So that's the whole idea. That's where this rigor comes. That's why if your facility is large and you need to do a lot of data gathering, then we can say, get more people to work with you on it. Yeah, it has to be everything in the building.
Okay, that means it's going to be a real job, because like I'm looking. Though I have my asset register,
yes,
but I must confess that I need to update some.
Exactly.
So one of the challenges are having like all these indoor units, this condenser, evaporator unit in the ceiling, that we need to get inside the ceiling to check, to verify the serial number and all those things. Though I have them, but I'm considering those who will be starting for the first time.
Yes.
So there might be some restrictions, maybe. With,
I understand. When you have such restrictions, right? And you have model number, for example, put model number, list serial number out. When you really can't access it because of its location, no problem. Don't disrupt an office operation.
So assuming now that, sorry to cut you short, assuming now that such devices are like maybe 50 of them, then you can't get the serial number to actually differentiate one from the other. So you can just look at them and give them maybe your own serial number, A, B, C, or whatever.
I was going there. So you have your asset ID, introduce an asset ID column, right? And give them numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Fatima.
Hello.
Yes. You say we are not to remove any column, but we are to add.
You can add
now,
it.
is not applicable, accepted. For example, now the purchase cost.
Yes.
If I'm to populate my asset register as it is, I might not be able to lay hands on all asset costs at that time.
Leave it blank.
On that, and not applicable be accepted?
No, don't put anything. Just leave it blank.
Okay.
Not applicable, don't write there. Don't put zeros. But just leave it blank. If you don't have the right, yes.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
You're welcome. Madam Chiere, go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm just wondering, like Fatima just asked now, and we say we should leave it blank.
Yes.
Sometimes our judgment of, taking that decision to say that is not relevant or is not applicable. Is there any need? Can we really do a little note to say where we felt we're leaving that particular column blank because of a particular reason? At least because we won't be there when we are going to be judged or assessed, but at least our notes will be able to tell the story.
Madam Chiere, you are using years of experience to speak.
Thank you. Helpful. This is very, very helpful.
The person who is scoring, we just see it as a lazy man's work. You understand? And probably won't be impressed enough to score you well. So a note to say, so when you submit a particular project and you have this little notes that says notes, and then you put some comments there on your difficulty, it will give a kind of a perspective to the person scoring. And for someone like me that knows, most facilities and know most people, if you had a challenge that you talked to me about it and we discussed it, and you still couldn't get through, and it shows up in the note, it will be a straight validation that, oh yes, I've reviewed that consideration with you, and there should be no issues. Yeah. Thank you for that, Madam Chair. That was really impressive. We won't have missed that out. Ibukun, go ahead.
Okay. All right, sir. Just a quick one. I just want to clarify: is there room for a little bit of assumption where you're not exactly sure, but you have an idea? For example, date. For example, serial number, but you can't see it complete and all of that.
Capital, yes. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Now, without saying go and cook up numbers and stuff, right? We are not trying to be precise. Somebody says, oh, the budget I developed for my facility, I couldn't get the exact amount they spend on diesel because my boss won't let me see the cost of diesel. I say, don't worry, you can estimate and put there, right? So we are not doing a forensic audit on the documentation. We just want you to put in enough effort to show that you can, because these are things that you should be able to produce to be able to manage a facility. If you are not yet managing the facility and you don't have access to certain information, you can create something that fits to what you would use to manage that facility if you were the one managing it, right? So yes, we accept certain estimates that seems fair, but we have seen some that is correct looking at, and somebody says my diesel cost is 1 million a year, 1 million naira a year. I don't have any electricity bill, and I have 10,000 square meters in my space, and people are 600 that uses the building and blah blah blah. You see, when you put something like that, the scorer knows that you didn't even put any thoughts into it. It's not possible to not have public supply bill, and you are using generator throughout, and then you are having a 1 million naira bill for diesel for the whole year, right? So there should be some idea of work that you have gone into. I know how many liters, I know how big our tank is, I know every time they supply, we get a certain number of liters. At least you have checked filling station to check how much a liter of diesel costs. For example, it's 280, it's 270. When I multiply it by how many times they deliver to us in a month, I get a sense of how much that comes to in a year. If you put some thoughts into what you are doing, it will be obvious, okay?
Mr. Paul.
Yes.
So I was going to ask, like what you just said now, if I'm going to do on a facility that we have a facility that I'm thinking maybe I should use that one.
Yeah.
And like this, all this documentation of what we use per month is shipped to our headquarters. Can I like take a period of time, maybe say like 15th of July to 15th of August, and do the work, study what is used for maybe diesel?
Fantastic. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. Fantastic. Good one. Shakir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I want to use a site that has about 1,000 workstations. Are we going to, I want to know what's the maximum asset register which you provide? Or is there no limit?
No, no limit.
For example, if I want to use a site, I have 1,000 workstations.
Yes.
That might be captured the table, the floor, in square meter.
No. If you have 1,000 workstations and they are all identical tables, for example. Yes. Now, mind you, all the 1,000 workstations are not in one space. Are you getting what I'm saying? They're not in one space, right? So if I'm cataloging what's in one space, I can say so type of workstation, 10. I'll use quantity. So every space I get to, I will count the number of workstations in that space and use quantity to represent them. After all, workstation is tables.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so 1,000 workstation can be shown in as 25 line items if you have 40 or 30 or 20 various spaces in the building.
11 floors.
11 floors, yes. You first of all do that space hierarchy. That's so key. I need us to really work. I see a lot of asset registers where people just catalog things according to type of assets, right? But if you catalog it according to locations using your space hierarchy, you can do all those filtration. You know how you do when you do in Excel, or DFF, and each column can be sorted using different parameters. You know, so you get your space hierarchy, every asset in every space right. And then when somebody says, how many lights are there in this building? You can say, okay, fluorescent tubes, there are 800, because you can sort and just filter out all the fluorescent tube and get the 800. And then you can delete that filtration again, and everything will come back to your normal asset register. Yep.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. And why this is very important is, if somebody is saying, I have 800 fluorescent tubes or light fittings in my building, right? And you have a wing where you are having more electrical defects, changing a lot of fittings in that wing. If you keep saying, oh, we need to replace 100 fittings out of 800, sounds like a good number. But if that 100 is coming out of that wing that is just 250, for example, it brings a bigger alarm. So you must really know where things are in your facility. Okay? Olayemi?
Yeah, so I want to ask, is it everything that we need to put into this asset register? Because let me give an example.
Yes.
Like, we have a definition for what we can call this kind of a asset, that anything that is worth so and so and then can serve for so and so period
add
is
that
what
to
we
your
actually
assumption.
capture.
Yes, add that to your assumption. Okay. Add that to your notes. Some organizations will not even catalog air conditioners because it's below $250, for example. You understand? Or $500. If that's the case, and I see that such things are common in our facilities and they are missing your asset register because of an organizational policy, please add that to your notes so that we don't see it as a lazy man's work, because you are supposed to catalog everything in your facility.
Okay.
Everything. Because if you have an organization that expenses everything and does not really take anything as an asset register, right? And then you now go to another one that has to pick everything. For example, many organizations will not count sockets and switches because it's below a certain value, right? But if you ask me, count it and add them. You know why? Because of maintenance. Unless the organization gives you cash that you can use to replace sockets and switches and light fittings and light bulbs without writing anything to say approve for me to spend, right? If it happens that you will need at any point to get approval to spend money on those things, make sure they are captured in your asset register. Your floors, your walls, your ceiling, your roof, your everything, carpets on the floor, TVs on the wall, everything, capture them in your asset register.
Noted, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Kingsley. Go ahead, Kingsley.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, class.
Good evening.
Yes, the glass governor has asked the question I wanted to ask, but then I will still proceed. For looking at the template we have here for the asset register, I could see purchase cost, installation date, estimated, all of that. Now, for instance, there's a facility I went to check last week, and I noticed that they had like 4 generators, old Perkins, 20 to 100 kVA. They've actually run for over 20,000 hours or thereabout. But my question now is, how do I, because there was no record of those dates for maintenance, the installation date was on there, maintenance, the service date wasn't there, and all of that. Now, if I'm meant to do an asset register for that project facility, I wonder where you have the purchase cost, because they didn't even have it. Like, there was no document for me to say, okay, let me go through these documents to know where the former FM stopped on, to know where I can also pick up from. What do I do?
Okay.
Do I just assume the date like Ibukun asked?
Okay. Two answers previously given will help you. I'll just repeat them for emphasis sake. If I have a 500 kVA generator, it'll be very old. I cannot get dates. I cannot get costs. I can do 2 things. I can use the building age for the generator age, at least to the nearest full year. This building was built in 1977, so this generator is as old as 1977. Or if somebody says, oh, no, this was not the generator that started, there was the one that was there before that worked for 10 years before this one came. Okay, that means it's 1987. Some estimates of age must be applied. Now, as for costs of assets, right? We also responded that you may not be too precise because it's not a forensic test, right? But you can put a cost, an estimated cost that can be projected towards, okay, let's say a gen that is 5 years old. Today, I can buy that gen for 7 million. There is 2 years remaining life on that generator, right? In 2 years' time, that gen that I can buy today for X million, not X 1 million, for example, right? I can project that back. Sorry. I can project that back and get a sense of an idea of how much it was, and then I put that there. Yeah?
Okay. Like, so that means if you backdate it, you can actually get the estimated useful life and then the cost.
Yes. Yeah. Now, estimated useful life, please. That particular column, you need to have another column added to it. If you are using it as it is from origin, you will leave it like this and add a column for remaining useful life. It's either you add remaining useful life or you change this estimated useful life to remaining useful life.
To remain, okay, sir.
Remaining useful life, yes. There are 2 different things and I want them captured.
Can you take it again? What you just said?
All right, thank you very much.
Estimated useful life, right?
Yes.
Estimated useful life is how many years you estimated it will run for. when you bought it 5 years ago or 6 years ago, right? Now, you also need remaining useful life information on this asset register, so that if as at today I'm looking at this asset, I can still use it for another 2 years. I'll have to put 2 years as remaining useful life, even though it has done 5 years before.
Okay.
All right. That's Kingsley. Let's hear from Adebowale. So you're muted. You're muted.
Yeah.
Yes,
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. My question is, for instance, now you have AC units. There's the split unit that have indoor and outdoor.
Yep.
And to me, they're one unit.
Yes, they are
meaning
one.
that they are one.
They are one split units.
Yes, because they were, yes, they are split units.
The only
because they have
the only time you list separately is those central systems, VROF, right? Is it VRF they call them now?
VRF.
One outdoor and several indoors. You need to list them as separate line items because they will have different maintenance.
Okay. But I'm not looking at that, considering maybe let me use the word local items where there's still your outdoor for you. Are you not supposed to list it as part of your asset where there's still outdoor and leave indoor for you?
If they're still outdoor, the AC is lost.
Okay.
It's as good as they've stolen the tire in your car. So you can go and replace the tire, right? So they're still outdoor, you can still report it as that AC has lost, half of it. It's not the full AC.
So it's one unit.
One unit, yeah, sure. All right, Madam Chiri, go ahead.
Thank you. Another question. I'm just looking at this template, right?
Yes.
And I'm seeing assets name and assets description. And
yes.
The first thing that came to my mind, if it's a workstation, I say is the workstation as assets name. Is that what I'm going to say?
Yes.
And then the description, am I going to say 2-seater or 3-seater? Is it the
something
model?
Like that.
Or
yes.
Brand or?
Yes. Describe it as simply as possible. So describe it as simply as possible. So for items that uses ratings, like you have capacity, you use capacity for them. For example, 2 horsepower, 50 kilowatts, you add capacity as a column. I'm adding more columns already for you so that you will be writing them down. So you can add capacity for like AC now. I write name of AC, LG split unit, for example, right? That's the name. Capacity, if I add capacity, 2 horsepower, 1 horsepower, 1.5 horsepower, you understand? But if I have an asset that is not capacity, and it has like size or dimension or color or certain specification, I can use to differentiate it between the one in, let's assume there's a carpet in MD's office and there's a carpet in GM's office, and there are 2 different types of carpet or different colors, right? I can say carpet is the asset name. The description is green padded carpet in MD's office, so something like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Maritza, go ahead.
Okay, I want to ask 2 questions.
Okay.
Number 1 is from the example you gave just now. You said it's LGAC. So if I should put the asset name LGAC.
No. Okay, correct myself now. The asset name is split air conditioner. The description is LG inverter or LG econo mode, or you are describing it. So that's what I'm putting there. Then I'll now have capacity. There are 2 things I've added now that are not here that I think you should write down to add automatically: quantity and capacity. Please, everybody, write those down.
Okay. The second question is, how will you validate our answers?
How do you mean? Go ahead, explain that.
Like for example, now all the inputs we filled, how will you validate that they are actually correct?
Okay, so I don't necessarily have to go to every building before I know whether it is guesswork. If you are doing guesswork, there will be inconsistencies that will pull you out. I gave you an example. I gave you an example of the budget, right? There will be some things you put here and there that will tell you this guy is guessing. I will still score you, but I will just score you small.
That's engineering.
Okay, second question.
No, that's the second question.
That's the second question.
The first one was the example you cited.
Okay.
I wanted to clarify.
All right, thank you very much. Shakir, go ahead.
Sir, as regard to the first caller, the AC, we do categorize them separately because, I mean, indoor and outdoor, because like if a server room has issue, we do swap the outdoors. You can even swap indoors, depending on emergency and the important that area they are cooling. So we do swap. So when we swap, we do business movement. We put code barcode and everything. We make the record. We track separate items, separate assets.
Now, try to understand something, especially for split AC. The serial number is usually the same in and out. It's seen as one item in manufacture. You understand?
I know, yes.
The indoor or the outdoor is just a part of it. So if you are cannibalizing ACs, right, and you are taking an outdoor to another place, you're just going to be recording it as taking a spare part from one to go and do something in another place. It's not proper to itemize split units as separate two different assets. No, it's not proper. Now you might get away with it if you are managing a small site, but if you are managing a very large site where your ACs are 9 to 10 to 11,000, for example, you will not be even thinking of what you will be thinking about itemizing indoor separate, outdoor separate. No, leave it as one. There are so many things that are spare parts. For example, your generator has battery, those large 200 batteries, for example. Some have two. You understand? I'm not going to itemize the battery of the generator as an asset on its own, even though I might move battery from one generator to the next generator or sell the battery or buy new batteries tomorrow. No, I won't take it as an independent asset. And even when I have maintenance line items that involve battery checks and battery head tightening and stuff, I will still not list batteries in a generator as a separate line item. Just the same way I will not list batteries in an inverter system one by one. I will list all of them as batteries, use quantity and capacity to describe them.
Okay. So which of the two items, the indoor unit or the outdoor unit, serial number should be recorded?
It's usually the indoor units.
Okay.
It's usually the indoor unit, but check. I think all of them, for most split ACs, it's the same number you will see in and out.
But you know that if you buy seven units, you're not likely to be looking for them to match the 7 of them.
No, if you're buying an AC, they normally come paired from factory. Unless you are the one doing manipulation yourself, they come paired from the factory.
Sure. And it's easier to even access the indoor unit than the outdoor unit.
Exactly.
Which may be located somewhere far or somewhere.
So just use the indoor to do your asset register.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so we'll move to the next project. This class ended like 30 minutes ago. I'm just doing overtime now. We're running almost to 6 o'clock. Or what the time is? What's the time now? Yeah? Almost
it's just 5:25.
Yeah.
Thank God we started at 4.
I think you guys were smart in pushing for 4 o'clock because
we were in the spirit.
You are actually taking more than the time allocated. Okay, so let's look at and then there are some more descriptions, more explanations, how to go about it, examples and all that. Yeah. Facility condition assessments.
Mm-hmm.
If you have your asset register well done, your SCA is halfway done. You're basically just picking each of the system one by one, and you are doing a system view. So you're not doing it the way you did your asset register, where you went from room to room. When you get to a room, there's electrical system, there's AC, there's no. But in conditional assessment, you are taking AC and you are walking through all the ACs in every space and documenting their conditions. You are taking lights and you're walking through lights. So the day you are on a particular system, like building fabric, you are checking windows and doors and walls and ceiling. That's what you are doing. You're just going from space to space, confirming the conditions of each of those as they are in your asset register. So in essence, your condition assessment is an extension. Just add column to your asset register where you put condition. How do you define condition? Sometimes you can use 1, 2, 3 to 5. Sometimes you can use the words. You can also decide not to use the particular words that used to grade the 5. You can choose your own words, but make sure that they are relatable. And then, of course, give you some examples of how to categorize condition. If it is excellent, it means there are no visible defects. It is new or in a new condition, may still be under warranty if applicable. That means that's condition level 1. Level 2, it is in good condition, no longer a warranty, may have some slight defective or deteriorated components. Those components must be clearly stated, but it's overall functional. So good assets are the ones that are still serving their purpose and they are in good condition. Then you have the adequate, moderately deteriorated or defective components. Indicate what components in it is defective, but they have not exceeded their useful life, which means they are still being used and they are still within the period of their useful life. Marginal is defective or deteriorated components in need of replacement or has exceeded its useful life. An asset that you are still sweating, even though it is estimated for 5 years, you are in the 7th year, and you are still sweating it, and you are still repairing it and getting it to work, is marginal. Critical, poor is number 5. They are critically damaged components in need of immediate repair, well past their useful life. In fact, most items on level 5 are things that are either not in use or you have to do something extraordinary to use them for a while and then they go down again. For example, if you have to use buckets to gather rainwater every time it rains and the roof leaks so badly, then that is a poor roof. But if the roof has some holes and every rainy season you go patching the roof so that you don't have to use bucket to gather the water inside, it's all rusted and there are so many holes, then that is marginal. If the roof is due for replacement 5 years ago, but up until now, we are still managing it and we're not having major crisis, it is adequate. It is good if it is not brand new, not leaking, no major defects, and it still serves our purpose. It is excellent if it is new, and clean. That's level 1. Just using that as an example. 2 things that are important in the FCA project is 1, you need to have pictures that we can use to match your judgment of his condition. Okay? And 2, your report needs to be very well organized. This is the first project that actually you need to do a proper report. And the format for the reports is there. It's listed there. Report format is there. Now, if you look at the worksheet we provided here, you will see that it has regrouped your assets according to systems. This is because you do asset condition assessment according to system. I won't be going into a room to do AC and lights and floor and TV, and no, I won't do all that. I'll do this system for the whole building, then go to the next system for the whole building. That's why it's cataloged like this. You'll find that some systems may not exist in your facility. You may find that some components don't exist in your facility. You may find some components or building systems that are not in these spreadsheets that are in your facility. You need to include them. Let me see whether we have escalator. That's one typical example. Under, okay, conveyance, we have both elevators and escalator. So you might, delete the escalator line to say we don't have escalator in my facility, I have an elevator. But it's also possible for you not to have both escalator and elevator in your facility. You just delete that whole section 3, conveyance, completely from your work. I want to hear your questions on this project. Pretty straightforward, right? Aziz, let's hear from you. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Mr. My question is on the, what's it called now? The excellent, good, adequate, marginal, the condition of the condition of the facility itself. Yes, yes. You mentioned something about on good condition, but no longer may have some slightly effective or deteriorated components. There is something about
that
it
no longer there. That no longer there. Add no longer under warranty.
Okay, where I'm going to is adequate, where it has, but has not exceeded useful life. So yeah. What do we categorize an asset or maybe any of equipment that is still within the useful life period, but is very poor? It's not even working as intended. What do we categorize that as?
It's within the useful life period, but it's very poor, like it's completely very deteriorated. It can go under 4 or 5. It can go under 4 or 5. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Go under 4 or 5. You have to use your judgments to categorize those. Don't. That's why I said you can actually create your own categories and define your categories. If you are using mine, then explain that in your assessment.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You can go ahead.
All right, so I'm just wondering what CRV is. I'm sorry if I've mentioned
current replacement value. Please write it down. Okay. Current replacement value. Right. That is the cost of buying a replacement if we don't want to repair it again, right? For anything. The CRV is used to calculate your FCI, and FCI is a key deliverable from your FCA project. FCI is calculated by dividing the cost of recommended repairs divided by the cost of recommended replacements, should it be an option. that ratio is your FCI, and you cannot do FCI without CROV. CROV is that replacement cost. That's the denominator. The numerator is your defect repairs and upgrade costs. Good to go? Olayemi, go ahead.
Okay. I want to clarify something about the condition assessment, facility condition assessment.
Yes.
If, for example, you have like 20 assets,
yes,
and some of them are maybe they were just newly replaced,
yeah,
and some were still the existing assets. So, and you want to look at, are we going to look at the average of the condition of all those equipment, since we are reporting a system and not a particular asset individually?
Yes. So the FCI is per system.
Okay.
So I will add up all the various components I need to replace, I need to repair, I need to upgrade, I need to improve, all the estimated costs with what it will cost me to replace each of those elements within the system. There will be systems that don't need any repair, any upgrade, anything. I'll just leave them. The ones that need any of those repairs and upgrades are the ones I will now add how much to cost versus if I were to replace them. That's the division I need to make to get my FCI.
Okay.
Thank you. Let's hear from Lawal Saburi. Go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. I don't know how to put this question, sir. I'm not an FM person, one. Then secondly, where I work is just a five rooms apartment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the company. Can I still use that?
Lawal, capital no. I think the least we have accepted is a building or 2 wings of a building. So if your company occupies a floor, 2 flats size or area. You see, the reason why that's your asset, that your facility will be too small is that it will not give you enough experience doing this. So what you can do is develop everything for that your facility, but find another person to pair with to support and learn what we are doing in the complex work. Yeah, it will be easy to just get away with these 5 rooms. Let's just do the accelerator, do everything within 2 days and submit and score A. But you'll be missing out on a big deal. So that's why you need to find someone else and join. Yeah, to do a bigger project. Yeah.
Okay, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Aminu. It's been a while I heard you speak in this class.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
It's been a while too. I know we've missed you. I want to ask this question on facility condition assessment.
Yep.
In a situation you are in a facility and it is still under warranty.
Yep.
If there are defects, the contractors are fully responsible.
Yep.
Do you still have to calculate your FCI?
Yes. Is it responsible? Who is responsible? You have to do your FCI.
Okay.
Yeah, you can produce a brand new building today, and you move into it, and the FCI is poor. So you need to do
Understand.
it. Yeah, sure. All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to move to project number 3. Health, safety, security, and environment. The FM is responsible for everybody's safety. And so the FM must not wait to be told there was an accident or there was an injury before you will be able to respond to situations or proactively plan for situations. Okay, so that's what this project is about. Let's take a 3 minutes break. I'll be right back. Retreat. This is not a very complex project here.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, yeah, one short break.
One break.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're back. I believe you've already.
So, Mr. Paul, a quick one, please.
Yeah.
FCI, will it be safe to say, I just want to clarify it, repair cost divided by CRV? Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay, all right.
That repair cost is all costs for repair. If you decide to repair it, if you decide to upgrade it, if you decide to improve it, you understand all of those costs that can bring it back to brand new or a fully functional state comparable to what the CRV would provide. That's what you're trying to compare.
All right, sir.
So you don't go and mistakenly use a managing repair costs to compare with CRV. You know, you might get it wrong. Okay, so your HSE report, the format is there. It's similar to your facility condition assessments, it's very similar because while you are doing that inspection for condition, that's FCA. When you are doing that inspection again, this time for health and safety risk, this is now health and safety audits. So everything that goes into an FCA goes in here. This is purely about how people will be kept safe. And one of the areas that people normally oversight in these assignments is regulatory compliance. And then documentation, all of those policies and procedures you should have in place, okay? And then you have the health and safety checklists where you indicate what's available, the likelihood and impact and risk level of that line item not being available or being available, whatever the situation is, whatever risk you pick up from that asset or that particular line item being compliant or non-compliant, you now put your recommendations. You need to do this inspection and actually be able to come up with a list of situations and recommendations across the organization. What we have done is basically to help you create categories, to help you think through the inspection and reporting process. If you look at the spreadsheet for FCA and FC and the health and safety audits, they are worksheets. They are sheets that you use to do your inspection catalog and write what you get information from them to do your reports, but you still attach these worksheets to your submission for both of them. And then, of course, depending on the facility you are managing, there could be a lot of line items that have not been captured that you may need to capture. Okay, so when you are writing your reports, you are referring to certain risk, how you categorize certain risk items. So that's why we provided this risk matrix to guide you. Anything that can lead to fatality as a consequence, and it's also very likely, that's an extreme risk, right? But it can lead to fatality, and it's very unlikely it's a medium risk, for example. So this is just like a matrix to guide how you judge the various risks that you are encountering in your facility. So this is more like how to think. So we are not expecting these tables back in your reports. If you have used these terminologies exactly the way they are given in this table and you want to leave it in as a legend to show how you categorize the various risks, it's fine. But the real solution we are looking for is what you put in likelihood, consequence, and risk level. Yes, that's it for this project. Questions about this one? I hope we all know that not all projects have the same weight.
Yes, sir.
You know that
the weight. I think this particular one has more weight.
No, it doesn't have more weight actually. It actually just have 10% of the score. Barakat, are you there? Barakat should be able to remind us of the scores for each of the projects. Barakat. Barakat, are you there? We'll drop the scores, maximum scores for each of the projects on the group. Olayemi, please remind me so that can get Barakat to pull it out and drop it. So it's actually supposed to be one of the things that we put in the top of this project docket, so you all know, because the asset register, I think asset register is about 15% or 15, yeah. The condition assessment is 25. This one is 10. The emergency preparedness is 25 or 20, just like that. They are all not the same. So your 6 project divided is not exactly divided, it's not 100 divided by 6. They all have their maximum scores that are different.
I don't know. Okay.
Not there, sir. So I will send. I will remind you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sam?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Sam?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. You know, this is why this project is like, I can't say it's like more like technical projects. So I don't know whether you expect us to do more like write up, because I know that will have to go a lot of readings and all that. So it's more like a point-wise project. So I just want to get this clarification so that we know how to narrow our scope of more like research.
It's very simple.
Detail.
Use these worksheets to gather data.
Absolutely.
Use this report format to write a report on your findings about the data you have gathered.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's just it. Let's go to project number 4. Emergency preparedness and business continuity. It's one of the projects that's not very common in most organizations. So it's something that you need to research a lot, try and follow the instructions. We are simplifying as much as possible here, and just produce risk assessments, organizations' performance objectives is what the risk should be based on. Look at hazards, where you are taking care of, looking at the risk assessment. Tables we provided with the example tries to simplify it. I don't want to oversimplify it, because don't take it as a walk in the park. If you're able to get this particular project right, nothing will surprise you again in your facility. Nothing. Okay. So there are 6 aspects of the final deliverable: the risk assessment, the business part analysis, the incident response plan, roles and responsibilities, key contact list, and then business recovery plan. And the format for presenting that report is here. This is the worksheet you can use to do your risk management, right? So you take out the risk, likelihood, impact, priority, prevention action, things you already have in place, contingency plans. Because the whole idea of this is I know what problem I can face, and I know how likely those problems can emanate. I also have a sense of how serious it can be. You know, in spite of all that, I have some plans in place should it throw itself up at me. So that's basically what the project is about. So no two organization will have the same. That's why we say you should try and make sure it aligns with the objectives of the organization. Okay. And if you look at this again, you'll find some of the work you've already done on the health and safety audits coming to help you here as well. The business impact analysis. What are the critical business activities for the organization? You list them and you describe them and you give them a priority. For this business activity is very highly important for the organization and so on and so forth. If it goes out, if this activity goes out, this is the impact. We also want to put a how long the business can survive under a loss of that particular asset or that particular activity. So that's return to. I'm trying to get the full wording, the full meaning of this ROTO. I have it somewhere. 1 second. Return to operations. Why is that eluding me right now? I've done this 100 times. Yes, recovery time objective, right? So ROTO there is recovery time objective. If you can note that down now so that you know. So basically, how long can we survive not having that function in place? Right, that's your ROTO, you indicate it. Then you have your incident report response plan, which is more like a checklist on things that should be in place. This is a separate form. In fact, this BCP or emergency preparedness plan is a series of forms turned into a report. And then you have roles and responsibilities. This is where you list out people in the organization that will perform different roles in response to emergency and business continuity. And finally, your key contact list. This includes both outsiders and insiders. You know, you create a list of people that you can refer to when something goes wrong for recovery. Please give me a minute. I need to check who's knocking on my door right now. All right, I'm back. So basically for this one, you're basically just going to fill each of these forms and then organize them to make that report that we outlined up here. make this report that includes these 6 items. Any question about this one? You know, a modification you can do for this, because you are running this project as FM. Usually for the entire organization's emergency preparedness and business continuity plan, FM don't do it alone. IT, procurement, finance, and senior management are all involved. So what you might do to simplify this project is see your FM department and FM organization as the whole organization and work based on what you have control over. So you can deliver this project easily. When the organization now wants to do for the entire organization, you now have your input ready to feed into the organization's risk management plan. Kingsley, go ahead.
Okay, good evening, sir. Please, I just want to clarify something. You said business recovery plan.
Yes.
Is it like when a business failed or when a particular certain things failed, what's the plan you put in place or how? I want to.
No. When any occurrence happens that disrupts a business flow, a business operation,
Okay, for instance, a fire incident.
Yes, or power going off, or water going off facility, or workers going on strike. Aha.
Okay.
Yeah.
They put what you put in place to ensure that doesn't reoccur.
Yes, that's what it's about.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
And then if it does occur, how do you respond, right? So you have vendors details. You have other employees in the organization who perform different roles outside their main core function, just in case of an emergency. You identify them all in this way.
All right, sir. Thank you very much.
For some of us that don't already have an emergency preparedness plan or business continuity plan in place, this will be an opportunity to sit down with all your team members and produce one. And let me tell you something about this particular project. It is one of the most important efforts you would apply to elevate yourself in the FM industry. Before people start becoming part of the core business, start being invited to leadership in directors and GM positions in large organizations. These are the kind of projects you would have done to show the organization that you can save it from crisis. And that when there's a crisis, you are on top of things. That's the only thing that can guarantee that elevation. So it's an important project for your own elevation. And quite honestly, for a simple 3-floor, 5-floor, 6-floor building, I charge close to 4 million, 5 million to do this work for them. And if you are doing it for your organization for free, I believe that it will add significant value to the organization over time. So don't trifle with it. Your maintenance plan. You basically just go back to your asset register. You carry the whole thing. You hide all those columns. And then the last column you have there is the strategy, the maintenance strategy. So this is the column that ends your asset register. Now, just continue with maintenance activities for every asset. So you'll now be adding, if there are 5 maintenance activities for one asset, you just add 5 rows. to put those maintenance activities. If the next asset has 2 maintenance activities, you add 2 rows. So this will just be stretching your asset register into rows for maintenance activities. Just the way we have your asset register stopping at the level of an individual assets having its own line item. This one now has activities having their own line items under each asset. You put the frequency, you put the cost. This cost here is, so if you have a daily activities, it means that it's going to be done for 365 times a year. So the cost is not the cost per unit. This will be the cost for a year. Okay. Is it outsourced or insourced? Who is the responsible party? And then what we have here as day 1 or so calendar is just talking about using more columns to represent a calendar. So you can use these ticks or asterisks or X's to plan daily, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to the end, weekly, every Monday, quarterly activities, every first Tuesday of the quarter, of the first month in the quarter, and so on and so forth. Just scheduling all the way through. If you want to extend this document, you can actually use it to create a reporting. We didn't extend it on this project, but you can actually put a reporting after you've done all your maintenance activity. You can put a set of reporting rows under. I think that should be something that we can iterate it for later for more rigor on this project. What it means is that you will now have a list, a number of activities that need to be performed per day, like summing up activities due under each of these calendar days. So when you have the total number of activities due based on the schedule you've created for the whole year, you can now add up and then report how many of that was done within the time and percentage compliance with your maintenance plan. Anyone that is run to failure, for example, will not have anything on the calendar side to be blank all the way to calendar side. Once your strategy says run to failure, it will blank all the way to the calendar side, but it must have, so when frequency is blank, cost must have something. There's no way cost can be empty in any of the rows, except cost is 0 for a brand new asset line item that there's no expectation of any repair cost at all, or certain asset line items that are under warranty or under installers maintenance contracts as part of installation. Then you can put cost as 0. And then it's going to be a source or a source of property, those ones to be filled. Okay, so it's a very simple project. This is one project that does not have a report. So you have a report in condition assessment, you have a report in health and safety audit, you have a report in business continuity and emergency preparedness, but you don't have a report in asset register, you don't have a report on this one. So you just prepare the spreadsheet and you submit it. Questions? Straightforward, right? All right, so I'll move on to the final project, budgeting and reporting. We have created some categories for you. You can create your own. Every facility has different operating and capex expenditure categories. So it's for you to determine what those ones will be, and then come up with your budgets. So you have the previous year. For those who are doing historical budgets, of course, most of you are going to be having a budget to fall back on in terms of last year. So you can create a trend going forward. And then current year, which is, so if I'm taking this spreadsheet, I'm using previous year as my current year. I'm using this current year as my next year because I'm planning my budget for next year. Unless I'm doing my budget for this year now. And then I have my monthly breakdown. Not every budget line item will be used up equally across each of the 12 months, right? So I need to indicate some months will be zero. Some things that cannot be done in rainy season, for example, it will be zero. I'll put them both OPEX or CAPEX. And so it's one of the simplest of all the projects. Questions? Final round of questions for all the projects.
Okay, Elisa.
Yes.
Okay. I think I have to take you back to the first project. You made mention there's a column you created for recommendation and justification. You know, when you treated that particular course, what is the yes? I think we made mention of project defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have to. You will not be there. You don't need that justification and recommendation will tell much about what there's need for these things to be replaced.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you can actually assumption, yes. Assumption and justification. So I don't know if you can shed little light on that.
So if you estimated, what did you base your estimates on? If it's something that is foreign exchange based, for example, you write there, currency exchange rate of 503 naira to the dollar was applied. If you had to maybe increase workforce for certain reasons, community agreements with the organization to employ everybody in the community, for example, workforce numbers affected by agreements, strategic agreements to employ community workers, for example. If there are certain assets that are so old that the maintenance cost looks a bit on the high side, and you need to indicate it. This asset, we're actually sweating it. It is beyond its useful life. It's due for replacement, but these costs are being used to, prop it up so that you can keep managing it or using it in the interim. So sometimes you need to put as many statements as possible in here so that management can get a sense of what you base your assumptions on, your justifications on for the line item costs that you have created. For example, somebody can look at your budget and say, hey, come on, are we not going to drink water in this facility? Why didn't you put a line item for drinking water? Oh, you say, well, the assumption is that when we invest in our water treatment plant on this CAPEX project, we'll cut off so and so amount we used to buy seaway water. Things like that. They all come in there. Whatever can be, whatever. So have the mindset of trying to write questions that can be thrown at you and then develop some answers. Yes, and use those answers to fill this particular site.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Lucy, go ahead.
Yes, boss. Maybe I'm taking you aback. The duration for the project writing wasn't clear.
Okay. You can finish all these 6 projects in 1 month, in 2 months, in 3 months, in 4 months, in 5 months, but not more than 6 months.
Okay. Okay, but are we going to be assigned to a facilitator or a supervisor?
I am your supervisor for all projects. You chat me on WhatsApp.
God bless.
If the problem is going to be beyond what chat can take care of, we'll schedule a Zoom call.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I thought I saw Lucy's hand up.
Yes. In what format are we to submit this project?
Everything in, okay, so most students submit in PDF formats, but most of the spreadsheets, I would prefer you submit them in Excel.
Okay.
And for those of you who know how to embed photographs into Excel as objects, so that when somebody clicks on the icon, the picture pops up from inside Excel. It will help for that, for all those worksheets. They should come in Excel, but your main reports should be readable, in PDF. If you submit it in Word format, it's not a problem, but it should be readable. It should be well formatted, clean. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Ibukun, last question.
Okay. All right, sir. Okay, I just want to clarify some things like under the maintenance, budgeting and reporting.
Okay.
Like land. I'm not sure you mentioned it. What do you want us to put down there? Is it the value?
So no.
You have land and building it.
That's in budgeting.
Yes.
In budgeting.
Yes, sir.
Let's see, what line item are you talking
That's
about?
about towards the end of talking about capital expenditure.
Yes, now any improvement on the land or on the buildings. For example, you see e.g. the painting of the building. So these are capital improvements on your physical assets.
Okay.
If I'm going to do land filling, for example, I want to stop flooding relating to this area, I will put it under land. I want to do a massive drainage to take away, irritating floods. I'll put them there.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And start working. Don't allow this cool off. FM has started. This is the real deal. Okay. So please start working on it immediately. Start pairing up. If you need, if those forming pairs, please send me emails to say I'm working with this person and this person in this location. I need to approve everyone, please. It's very important. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Okay. All right, sir.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.